Business is like wife. I don't even like to partner with anybody. That used to be the thinking. But now there is some level of realization has come that business is an asset. So this asset needs growth. This growth needs partnerships. My dream is, my interest is there should be lots of Indian family businesses to create global brands. Start with one business, then slowly expand into other business which are related. Then from there you get into another acquisition to create a size. Then you get into some other complementary businesses. Either it is a forward integration or a backward integration. Then eventually create a size. Then partner with an MNC. Then with a global company. Then go global. Then list it in other exchanges in the world and become a global player. So it's something like that is what Thirukkural is saying in simple 2 lines. Hello, this is Suresh Ramanujam, Family Business Custodian. Thank you so much for a wonderful response for our Sadhguru video. It's my dream come true. I've been wanting to share this with our family business folks for a very long time. As I told you, I was really inspired by the way the institution is built, and it was my interest to share this with the family business audience. Today, we are going to talk about Walt Disney and Walt Disney Company. What I admire about them, what I get inspired from them, and I'm sure what is the kind of an observation I've done out of that company and the founder, and how there are a couple of interesting lessons for family businesses here. So this episode basically is we have taken some parts of the early aspects of Walt Disney from a movie, which is available free on the web. It came in 2015. It's called The Walt Before Mickey. So we are sharing the link in the video. Just please watch it. It talks about his early years and how the ups and downs he went through and how he handled, and all those beautifully showcased in that movie. So please watch it. First of all, my admiration for that company is one, it has lived or it is surviving for the last 100 years. It's not easy. A business surviving for 100 years, consistently flourishing, creating a size, a market cap of somewhere close to $150 billion. It's not easy. I always used to say staying in business is tough, staying in business longer is pretty tough. Staying with continuous growth is even more tougher, and staying with completely the reputation intact is even more tougher. And also staying with a lot more new age thinking and working with all sects of the society is even more tougher. So that way I admire a lot about Walt Disney and Company. Look at it this way, if you really visualize how an entrepreneur like Walt Disney in 1923 conceived an idea like this, where a small cartoon drawing becomes a character, and then that gets animated, and then he gets into live action, and then he gets into motion pictures, and then created a conglomerate through various acquisitions of other characters, other brands, other media companies, and still relevant for us in the digital world, where Disney Plus is a digital channel which is there across the world. Fantastic to see a dream of an entrepreneur living for so long. So that's my first level of admiration about Walt Disney as a company and Mr. Walt Disney as a founder. Through this episode, we are going to celebrate the 100th anniversary of Walt Disney Company. It started in 1923 and we are in 2023. So what we can learn from them, what we can get inspired from them. That's going to be this episode is all about. Lights, camera, family business. Igniting minds with movies. Apart from the normal things like risk-taking entrepreneur, gut feel entrepreneur, engaging people who come from not from the domain, and in fact, interesting part about Walt Disney is that he is engaged people in the beginning, people who doesn't have domain knowledge. Okay, so these are all things which you have heard from many entrepreneurs, like the way they hire people, the way the leadership skills are, the kind of risk-taking abilities. But interestingly, in 1923, when Walt Disney started, within 5 years, they've seen 2 bankruptcies. Before that, Mickey Mouse as a character could come into play. At the age of 25, 26, I guess, I think an entrepreneur has seen 2 bankruptcies, and still he was relentless. He's not given up anything, and he went about building much more characters and brands on the way forward. I'm not going to talk about those general traits of many of the successful entrepreneurs which we discussed just now. But here I've made some couple of interesting observations which may be of great use to family businesses. One is collaboration. Collaboration, working with rivals, living with the competitors, living with the cobra. You can say anything like that. In fact, we have discussed about in our past videos that you are selling your products through online platforms like Amazon's or Flipkart's or many other platforms. And they are also your competitor in a way, because you sell your products through that platform. When it starts selling, they have the enough and more data about who's buying your product, what prices there is no resistance, and what kind of scale you can build, and all kinds of data is available to them. And they immediately roll out their own private label of those products and sell it even cheaper than your own products, and they compete with you. But it doesn't mean that we don't use online channels as the partner for your sales. So which means we have to learn to live with the competitor. That we are getting to know in the last few years after the advent of online. In 1930s itself, Walt Disney used to work with his own rivals. There are other animators, there are other content creators. He works very closely with them, build a business and eventually acquire them. He went about collaborating with competitors, right, very early enough in life. And this is another great aspect I admire about many of the US companies, right? So, because they understand the future is collaboration. For example, if you are a business owner, you have built a business up to a particular size, you want to be a dominant player, you see a greater potential in this space, you go and acquire another competitor of even equal size or much bigger size, and they both become a very formidable partners. This we see it happening in other countries much more, and more often in the US I have seen. But it doesn't happen so much in India, because if you think you want to build a large enterprise, what are the choices? One, you can organically build it, which takes a longer period of time, and you reinvent the wheel. Why go about doing that? You have a particular business, particular company, particular products or services. You go and align yourself with another large company who has got complementary to your products or services, or who caters to your own target market, and both of you can eventually be a formidable player, and the next competitor will be 10 or 15 steps away, and who is going to take a much longer time to catch up with you, and where you become the dominant player for a very long period of time. This mindset is available in the entrepreneurs in the other country. I hope our family business entrepreneurs look at this as another interesting aspect of building scale in their business, building an institution, collaborating with partners who are competitors, who are larger, who are equal in size, who are complementary in nature, whatever way it could be. Basically, you need to have the mindset to collaborate to build scale. Okay, that is started happening in the last 15-20 years after the private equities have come into play, where family businesses are willing to partner with somebody. That is the first step we have taken a call. Otherwise, most of the family business used to say that when I tell them that, why don't you partner with somebody, they say, boss, business is like wife. I don't even like to partner with anybody. That used to be the thinking. But now there is some level of realization has come that business is an asset. So this asset needs growth. This growth needs partnerships. So that mindset has come in, but it is still not happening to very large family business enterprise collaborating with another family business enterprise in the similar space and trying to create as a large conglomerate. Because my dream is, my interest is there should be lots of Indian family businesses to create global brands. There are not big global brands which emerge from India, very few, right? So if Indian family business has to create global presence, to emerge as global brands, it needs global partnerships. It needs collaborative attitude. It needs a thinking that future is all about collaboration. So I found this as a great example where Walt Disney, even at 30s, he thought that for our next level is to collaborate with competitors. It is not the competitor who we are collaborating with. It is the competing idea which can be which is very complementary in nature, right? That's the way probably he has seen it. So therefore, the first interesting observation, which can be a powerful learning for family business, is that please have a mindset to collaborate. The future is only collaboration. You trying to reinvent the wheel, trying to build scale organically is, I'm not saying it's a bad idea, but for the ambition you have to build scale, collaboration may be a great idea, right? This is an interesting observation I found. Another interesting observation from Walt Disney Company is that strict control on the brand, on the IPs. I see many of the family businesses are very, very careless about protecting the brands, protecting the IPs, creating a proper surveillance on that, being possessive about that, and trying to have enough and more controls on how this needs to be dealt with. I see that is very much lacking in many of the family businesses. If you take Walt Disney, the kind of characters they have, the logos, the colors, the fonts, everything they're very possessive about, and they are very, very compliant on these trademarks, copyrights, and everything. Not only filing trademarks or copyrights in various countries, they will ensure that nobody uses them without their knowledge. Is it possible? In India, we see our own products getting sold in other state we don't have control over. Our own brand is being used by our own family member without asking. Our own friends in the early stages, they say that, can I also use the same name? People will give, okay, fine, some restaurant brands, you can take it in cousins. They use it in some other location. They are very careless about, because they never visualized a brand will fetch so much of value. An IP will fetch so much of value. Till 20-25 years back, people are very loosely dealing with brands and IPs and brand names and logos and characters and colors and fonts and etc. Today, there is definitely a greater level of awareness, but it is very important that how you are able to structure the holding of your brand, in which entity, who should be part of it, if I give it, what kind of royalty I need to work on, what are the aspects which will not do with the brand, how do I create enough and more surveillance over it, how do I avoid piracy from it, and you need to ensure that constantly you need to go after people who are using it, even if it is own family members without your knowledge. I see many of these companies who are holding brands. There are lots of confusions in somebody using it, somebody, not respecting that. It is kept in arbitrary holdings. And, that brand company has to be a clean company where it is being held, right? So that is something which I found an interesting. They have a very strict code of conduct in terms of how the brand copyrights, IPs, trademarks will be dealt with in Walt Disney Company. In fact, there are various number of points available on the web in terms of how you go and take care of your own brand. So the powerful learning for family business here is, don't ignore that it is small label today. This label can become a powerful brand. This powerful brand can be a great intellectual property, and that can be more valuable than the size of the company you have. Your company may be 100 crore in value, but the kind of brand recall you have and the kind of brand reputation you have, the value of the company can be much more than your turnover. So please, family businesses, ensure that the brand names, the trademarks, the copyrights, the intellectual properties are kept in proper structures. Ensure you get the proper surveillance on that. Spend money on that. Avoid piracy. In fact, in Walt Disney Company, I remember a few years ago, some Indian watch company has put their characters on the watch without their knowledge, because that time, 20-30 years back, in India, that was not so popular. It was known. They went after them and they chased them. They filed case against them. They didn't leave it. It's a small company, small territory. Something is being sold. They're already very large. They didn't ignore it. They went after them and ensured either they stop using it or they pay for it, right? Today, you see Mickey Mouse or Donald Duck, you cannot use those characters simply, even today. That possessiveness about the brand, trademarks, copyrights, and intellectual properties is very, very critical. It could be the name, it could be the brand name, it could be anything. So be careful about it. Brand, the name is much more valuable than the company at a point in time. So this is a powerful learning which I wanted to share with my family business folks, that they think we are small, we started 5 years back, how big, somebody uses it, it's okay. They're very careless about it. No, it is not. Your name is very critical. Your brand name is much more critical. Ensure you take care of it, ensure you protect it. So as we always end our program with an interesting Thirukkural, so here we go. Vinayan Vinayaki Kodal, Nanai Kavul, Yanayal Yanayat Tatru. Very powerful. The meaning is, engaging in one familiar activity and completing another associated, yet a challenging task, is similar to engaging a trained elephant to capture an untrained one. Okay. So I'll just give you a simple example. Basically, what he says is, you start with one activity and then get into other related activity, and using that platform get into much higher activity which is associated to that, and eventually you are actually sitting on an elephant, a trained elephant, and trying to catch all the untrained elephant in the forest. In simple words, how Walt Disney has built this business. They started as a cartoon character, then got into animations. From there, they got into live action. From there, they went into motion pictures. From there, they created as a studio. And after that, they went into theme park. And then, using these platforms, they went after acquiring other brands and became house of brands. And then, world's big conglomerate. So they got into all the other related areas, basically using their one simple platform which was built in the beginning, which is very well known to them, and started expanding into various things, which is what Thirukkural also says, that once you get into one activity, get into all other associated activity, get into an expansion mode. So that is like, you sitting on one elephant which is trained and trying to get the other elephants as well into your fold. So which is a very, very powerful Thirukkural which depicts the story of Walt Disney in a way. Similarly, in family business also happen the same way. We start with one business, then slowly expand into other business which are related. Then from there you get into another acquisition to create a size, right? Then you get into some other complementary businesses. Either it is a forward integration or a backward integration, then eventually create a size, then partner with an MNC, then with a global company, then go global, then list it in other exchanges in the world and become a global player. So it's something like that is what Thiruvallur is saying in simple 2 lines. That's what it's all about. As I always say, your encouragement matters a lot. Please share, subscribe, comment, and please put it in all your family groups and keep sharing your feedback. Apart from that, you always recommend a lot of movies for me to see and interpret and infer some family business lessons and share it with you. Please feel free to suggest some interesting movies or documentaries which you think I should watch and relate that with the family business and share it with you. Thank you so much. See you in the next episode. Keep watching, keep encouraging, keep sharing.